it's your girl Adriana. I have a kind of creepy story for you guys today. That being said, happy Friday. It's another Forensic Friday. So I want to share with you guys a crazy story that I have today that I don't feel like a lot of you have probably heard. Many people have not heard this story, surprisingly. I think it's psycho, but not a lot of people have heard this story. But let's get started with the video, you know? Let's just get right into it. So today I have for you guys, I'm gonna do kind of a smoky red eye look because it's a dark, weird story. I'm gonna be using a Morphe palette. It's called Second Nature 3502. Mine's a little dingy, it looks like that. I used it a lot when I first got it. The colors look like that. I really like this palette. It has some nice darks in here. But yeah, this is a really, really weird story to me. It is a Japanese story. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna start doing my eyebrows. Ooh, let me get a mirror first. Hold up. Okay, so I am back. So the story I have for you guys today is just a story that weirds me out. I say that about all of them, but this one just left me with goosebumps. I'm gonna leave the interview I saw down below. It's a story that happened in like the 70s/80s. That's kind of where it carried on. So we're gonna start with my eyebrows, you know, the huge. This story, I'm gonna say his name, and then after I say his name, I'm going to just be using his nickname because I feel bad kind of butchering names, even though, you know. My lips are shiny. I put some lip gloss on. I put some of this like argan wear. It's really good actually if you guys are looking for a nice moisturizing lip balm. But the guy I'm gonna be talking about today is Isaiah Sagawa. Sagawa. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I've tried to look up pronunciations, but I haven't found very many where they say it very fast, and after a while it just... So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Isaiah Sagawa. He goes by Pang as well. So I'm gonna be calling him Pang throughout this video because I don't want to butcher this man's name. So just a little brief background about who Pang was. Pang was a very small 4'9" man, very skinny, and just considered himself ugly and just not attractive or appealing to other people or himself. Pang is a Japanese man, and he came from a very wealthy family. Which in this case, honestly, I wish he wouldn't have, because I feel like his outcome would have been way different. But he came from a wealthy family, and he was, since he is so tiny, he was a preemie baby. And being a preemie baby, considered a miracle baby, you know? And his family, due to that being so tiny, he was raised with his brother like a twin. And his family really spoiled him. He had a lot of attention. I bet you he wasn't told no a lot. And he was just overall very spoiled kid growing up. He lived in Japan his whole life and just kind of whatever. I think it is very weird that I never really talk about their childhood, but I think this is a really good thing to talk about because it relates. I feel like this has issues. This relates back to the story. When Pang was a child, him and his brother would play a lot with their uncle. And their uncle would play this game where he would take the children after playing with them, and he was a big monster or whatever, and he would put them in a big pot and pretend like he was cooking them, and then pretend like he was eating them. See where this story is going? You know, they say childhood really does influence a lot, and I'm starting to see that. So, grew up, whatever, was, you know, spoiled. By the time he was 24 years old, he had a neighbor that moved in. And about this time, he was always, he started to, you know, be a little more sexual, you know, a little horny, whatever. And he started to really glamorize and admire and just love the look of European women, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, just pretty women, you know, the typical woman that's considered beautiful is what he was really going after. And he didn't really see women in Japan as beautiful. He wasn't really interested in that. So later this year when he was 24, he ended up getting a neighbor moving in next door. She ended up moving next door to him, and she happened to be a German woman. Beautiful, tall, brunette. Like, usually he liked blonde, but she was brunette, and she was just so gorgeous to him. So he spent some time, you know, scoping her out, and ended up following her home. And one night, following her home and waiting it out, and she ended up sleeping. He had a mask and an umbrella, and he snuck into her room through her window, because he was, you know, again, a very small man. He was 4'9", and he tried to break in, and he was, you know, allegedly trying to rape this woman when he tripped over something, and she heard him, woke up, and because she was bigger and she was stronger than him, she grabbed him after he tried to run, and police were called. He was arrested, and his dad ended up getting him out of this. Daddy to the rescue. Ended up getting lawyers and stuff, and the charges ended up being dropped because his daddy ended up giving sis a lot of money, ended up buying her out, and she dropped the charges just like that. So then, you know, still on with his little fascination. Just, you know, the police believed he was trying to rape her, so he got rape charges, got let go, whatever, after the charges were dropped. And he was a really good student, so he was studying, whatever. Later on, when he was 27 years old, years later, he ends up moving to, hold up, let me find I'm gonna use some of my eyebrow pencil. He ends up moving to France to pursue his PhD. Hold on, y'all. He ends up moving to France to pursue his PhD in literature in Sorbonne, at the University of Sorbonne in Paris. So, you know, parents sent him off. He has never moved away from home, never been anywhere else, and gets a passport and books it. First chance he pretty much gets. Sorry, y'all, I'm looking for my brush. So after that, oh my God, how heartburn. So after that, he ends up booking it and pretty much just going to school and stuff. He has a really hard time making friends because he's kind of weird. But this really pretty girl, you know, beautiful girl, she ends up befriending him. You know, she wants to be friends. She has a good heart, and she tends to fit what he likes in a woman. You know, tall. She was 5'10". You know, nice hair, nice eyes. Just, she's really pretty. I'm gonna put a picture of her probably over here. Really, really beautiful girl. She was 25, and at this point, he's around his 30s after when he ends up meeting her and everything. So 27, I'm so sorry guys. 27, he ends up moving to France. Look a little crazy. Ends up moving to France, whatever. Life's great, doing his little study, not making very many friends. But at I think it was 30, I'm just looking at my notes. He was 32 when he met Renee. Her name's Renee. Renee Hartvelt. I think that's Renee Hartvelt. So he ends up meeting Renee after not being able to make friends and everything. She just fits his description of what he likes perfectly. And Renee invites him places. She's very beautiful. Invites him to, you know, group projects and stuff like that, out with the friends. And he has a really good time, you know, socializing, meeting new people. And he even describes this as one of the best days of his life, like meeting her and meeting the new people. And over time, after hanging out with her and getting to know her so well, he ended up falling in love with Renee so much that he just admired her looks. He just saw himself so ugly and disgusting that he really, really just wanted to be beautiful and tall and just healthy and not skinny, ugly, and tiny like he considered himself to be, like Renee was. And after hanging out with her so much, you know, she obviously developed trust. And one day, probably her worst day of her life, he invited Renee over for some poetry readings for their project in one of their classes. And when Renee was reading poetry to him, to Pang, but with her back faced towards him, so she's reading like kind of like this. And when she was turned around, Pang shot her in the back of the neck and killed her. And right after he killed her, he passed out. And he didn't wake up for a while. He passed out from the shock of killing her, he says. It was really shocking for him. And after he killed her and passed out, he ended up waking up, realizing what he had done, and he decided that he needed to carry out with his plan. So he had been festering on this plan for a while since knowing her, and, you know, he decided no matter what, I have to go through with it now because I've already killed her. So he proceeded to have sex with the dead corpse. Okay. And he tried to bite her flesh, but he couldn't. His teeth were not strong enough. So he stopped his, you know, little sexual activity with the corpse. Fucking gross. I'm trying not to cuss. And decided to go to the store and get a butcher knife. So he gets a butcher knife, comes back, whatever, from the apartment. And eats most of her face. It was like all of her face, basically. And her boobs, most of her boobs. And then proceeds to save more of this meat for later. And after he kills her, eats whatever he wants to eat and saves what he can. That's freaking gross. He decides to put her body in a suitcase. Or 2 suitcases. He puts the remains in 2 different suitcases. And he flees, you know, gets a taxi, and he goes and flees to the nearest, like the nearest park by him. And is trying to dump the body there. But you have to really think about it. Imagine a 4'9" man carrying 2 heavy suitcases in a park. Just a random park. He eventually gets tired. He's taking a little breaky break. Little rest. Passes out from all the tiredness, I guess. I don't know. And a pedestrian that happens to be in the area sees these bloody suitcases and is like, ooh, wee, what did we go to? You know, that's how I assume it went. And was suspicious by it and opened them and saw body parts. So sexy. Saw little body parts and stuff and got freaked the fuck out. Like, who wouldn't? And ended up calling the police. Police was already arriving at this point when Pang decided to flee. And he got away. But because of his awkward appearance, and I don't mean that like in a mad way, but like sis was awkward. Like his awkward, very rare appearance in France, remind you. It's not like he's in Japan. In France, this small Asian man. They put it all over the news, you know, these body parts. We were looking for this teeny Asian man. And the taxi driver ends up answering that ad. Saying, you know, I dropped off a tiny Asian man with 2 suitcases at that exact location. And I remember this because I thought it was weird as hell that sis was going, you know, that bro was going to a park. When I thought, why is he going to a park? Like, I really assumed he was going to a train station. I thought I would be dropping him at a train station, but I dropped him off at a park. So, that's why he instinctively remembered this incident with Pang. So Hannah gave them the information and everything, and they were able to find Pang. As of right now, this kind of sounds like a very similar murder story where we hear, except for the cannibalism, but we've heard other stuff similar. It's sounding very regular, you know, at this point. Let's be real, guys. So after all that, they catch him and everything, and they decide to arrest him. And almost immediately, unlike usually the person who committed the crime, the criminal, usually says, oh, it wasn't me, tries to make excuses. But in this case, Pang immediately admitted to it. And they were kind of like a little surprised. They were wondering maybe he's lying, maybe he was put up to this, blah, 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 until they went to his apartment, and they found the remains of the body parts that were in the freezer and the fridge. This had some body parts in there, and they were, some of what he had cooked that he couldn't finish all of, and he was saving for later. With condiments, little ketchup, little mayo. This is just so freaking gross. Little mustard. That's how they described it in the video. And not like that, but they say it was with condiments, and they show pictures. It's really gross, guys. And so at this point, they kind of knew everything he was saying was true. Told him who she was, because they couldn't tell who she was because of the fact that he ate her body and her face. She was unrecognizable at that point. And Daddy got him, bailed him out again and got him the best lawyer. And the lawyer ended up saying to the courts that Pang was not mentally capable, and ended up saying that he was insane. And by the court, he was ruled basically a lunatic, and that he needed to go to the psych ward. So he didn't go to prison. He ended up going to the mental hospital. And this is where the case gets weird. It's getting weird as it goes on. Ends up going to the mental hospital in France. And later on, his lawyer ends up convincing the government that, they're not doing anything here for him. And, the family shouldn't have to pay for this because they didn't help him at all. And for some reason, they're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I don't know if it's because they didn't want somebody like him in their country, but, not country, but their place. They want somebody in France like that. So they just said, okay, yeah, you're right. And so they ended up deporting him back to Japan, where he was supposed to be at the hospital. But he only spent about 2 years there, and then he checked himself out and he was able to be released. And then he decided after being released, he was basically a free man. That same day, he was able to go outside and live his low life and do whatever the hell he wanted, eat another woman if he wanted. And that's what gets really creepy to me, is this man was set free, no precautions for what he did, and was able to live a free life. He was given an alias name, and he was considered, now that he was deported in Japan, he was considered not a criminal because that crime didn't happen in Japan. When he was deported, I need to mention this, when he was deported, it was deported with the exception that he can never go back to France ever, his whole life. They don't want him. They don't need it. They don't want it. And that's what he did. He never went back. So instead of living a normal, regular, smegular life with your new alias name, taking your second chance, no. He decided to write books on this. And he wrote several books. And the book cover looks like this, and put it around here. He decided to write several books on this, and they're all based on the same thing. And at the same time, since he had such a sexual fantasy and such a sex issue, kind of a sex addict at this point, he was also making pornos, recreating the same murder. He was making books and pornography, recreating and speaking of this murder that he did. And the worst part is he became famous off this murder. Like, sis. I just, that always confuses me. He became really famous off this murder. People were, at this point, buying anything with his name attached, whether it be a porno, whether it be 6 different books explaining the same shit. People were buying this dude's stuff. Anything that was attached to Pang's name was bought. People bought up to it. And he lived probably a whole two decades off of this money. He made a hella bank off of this. And the reason why he made so much bank off of this was because it wasn't a Japanese woman. I consider that so wrong. It was a European woman. So because it wasn't a Chinese woman, and because of the fetish that men tend to have over there, over, you know, white women, blonde, blue-eyed women, they didn't really care about this, sadly. And there was nothing that was done about it or could be done about it because he was considered, like, medically ill. And in Paris, they don't, like in France, they don't prosecute you if you're medically ill. They don't do that to the ill there. He was just sent back to his country. And oh my, I got something on my eyeball. Okay, he was sent back to his country, and he was supposed to be like taken care of there, but he wasn't. He checked himself out, called it a damn day. And he lived a really good life, you know, made hella money. And he started to go on trips and started to meet other women, specifically European women at this time frame. And he would Sis was just living his best life, sadly. And he would go on these trips with these women, pay for everything. I don't know if they knew who he was, but he was doing all that under his alias name. And, you know, I don't know if these women are still alive because they don't ever talk about who the women are. And the reporters couldn't find anything about these women. So I wonder, like, are they still alive? But pretty much that's how it went down. That's how he got away with becoming a cannibal. And then, you know, I don't know if you guys really care, but that first instance where they prosecuted him for rape, like trying to rape, he wasn't actually trying to rape sis. But like, why do I keep saying sis today? I'm so sorry. He wasn't trying to rape that woman that was in Japan his first time around. His whole plan was to slice a piece of her butt off and eat it and just kind of leave it at that. Oh my God. Sorry, my nose hair. My bad. That was his whole plan, was to slice a piece of this chick's butt off and eat it. And it didn't work out because she woke up. So he felt like he had to kill a woman. Overall, it's not known that he's made any other murder like this. He is free. He is 70 years old to this day. Still alive. In Japan. I kind of worry about that. And he's just living his best life. And I don't know, that just living a free best life after a crime like that. That's crazy to me, bro. So that is the story of Issei Sagawa. I just want to kind of intrude and say that I'm just going to give you guys now my opinion of what I think. I'm going to say wholeheartedly, I blame his family. You know, Uncle used to play that little weird cannibal game with him. And kids don't always know that, oh, this is a joke. This isn't real life. We're not supposed to do this. And he said as a young child, he had been kind of fascinated with cannibalism. And then as he got older, cannibalism and sex became a huge thing for him, even when he was getting prostitutes. So at some point he was getting several prostitutes, and his whole plan was to kill one of them That didn't work out. And he ended up killing Renee. So I'm gonna end up putting some, actually I'm gonna put eyeliner on right now. So then he ended up killing Renee, and I don't know, just I'm gonna give a little bit of a kind of just lived his life, and his daddy always had his back, which I don't agree with. I think if they would have let him spend some time in jail, he wouldn't be pulling all that shit, you know. But who am I? What do I know? It's not like there's people in prison right now sitting there for drugs. But okay, so this is kind of the look I'm going for today. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna put my face makeup on and then put my lashes on, and I'll put lipstick on. And some contour as I do just kind of like a brief conclusion. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. Had to get a little mirror. I'm gonna be using my Soft Glam mirror. Yeah, so the story I have for you guys today is about I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, so I'm gonna use his nickname after I say this. I think I'm butchering his name a little bit. Sorry, I'm a little crooked. Okay, so I'm back. I put my foundation on. I don't want to film it because, like, I don't do anything special. So it's like, why am I going to film it? But I used my current favorite right now. This Fit Me 330. It's in Toffee Caramel. Toffee. It says foundation with clay. But I feel like this one matches my skin tone perfectly. But this is the look we're going for. I have my eyelashes glued right here. Like, I already glued and everything. I'm just waiting for it. I'm just gonna do, like, you know, my powder and stuff as I wait for the eyelashes. I'm gonna get tacky. I'm using my Wet n Wild contour palette in Dulce de Leche. So I'm just gonna go on a little ham, but not too ham. So I'm just gonna talk about, I'm coming back, you know, now after that little break with, I want to give a little bit of a conclusion on how I feel about this case. I really feel like it was not taken that seriously. This family didn't get justice. This girl, Renee, didn't get justice. And I feel like it is a damn shame that he basically got away with murder. And that he felt proud enough not like restart his life only, but restart it by making a whole fandom out of this and getting to recreate it and recreate it and recreate it. And nobody said anything. Nobody stopped him. People published this. I just don't comprehend that aspect. How did nobody freaking care about this woman dying? You know, I don't know if it was because it wasn't a Japanese woman, because I feel like if this was a Japanese woman, shit would have really hit the freaking fan. That kind of bothers me, man. Also bothered me on the fact that I wanted to really go to Japan. Well, I can't go now because of COVID, but definitely don't want to go now. Even though, like, you know, I don't got blonde hair like that, like, naturally, and I don't got blue eyes, and I'm chunky. So he was always very attracted to healthy women because, I forgot to mention this little side note. He liked her because she was healthy. So he scoped her out and he chose her specifically because not only was he in love with her, that he was so in love that he believed he needed to eat her and digest her so she could know his love. Don't love me like that. He was so in love with her that he admired her for her beauty because he didn't have that. So I thought that was a weird thing. They ultimately said he was psycho, and that's kind of it. He didn't feel any remorse for this. obviously wrote a book and everything. I don't know. I really feel like they should have let him rot in jail. And I do blame his parents on this son, because I don't feel like it's responsible to bail your kid out when they murdered somebody else's freaking kid. I don't see why that was okay. Also, so he could live a nice little free life. Because he wrote that book and stuff, even though his father didn't want him to. After all that, and he was settling down and wanted to live a normal life, his dad paid off the news writers and everything after he got his new name, so that they wouldn't say nothing about him. So he wouldn't make news. They didn't want it to be a thing. The dad said he didn't want to ruin the family name. I don't know. The dad paying so much of this makes me wonder if, like, Pops felt like, you know, responsible for this because he let them play, you know, the Cannibal game or something. Or I just wonder, like, does the family feel responsible? Is that why they'll let him do all that and get away with it and protect him every time he did something like this? Because it wasn't the first time, you know. And so for the first time they thought it was just rape, but it wasn't even the case. I don't know. I really just felt like this guy should have been in jail for life. He should have been in jail right now. I don't care if you're 71 years old. You should be in prison. But that's just weird to me that that's okay. But I'm going to use for my lips. This is the look, guys. I really like it. It's kind of sultry. Just say I'm a bad girl. See, I'm chunky. He's not going to eat me if I go to Japan, but I still don't want to go there. But I do have a friend out there that fits his description of what he likes in a woman. So, sis, I hope you're not staying outside of Tokyo, because that's where he lives. But for lips, I'm going to wear It's a Statement by Essence. Just a matte lip. I'm going to dab this on. I don't really want a heavy lip today. So I'm just gonna, I have like a, I don't know what that's called in your lips. Like a, it looks like a, my cousin said it looks like a heart. Like that's how my lip shape is. So I'm just gonna I'm going to outline that a little bit. I do this a lot. I don't overline my lips. You can, but I just don't like that for me. So yeah, this is the finished look. I'm gonna add a little bit of blush. Call it a day. Okay, so this is the finished look. I really like it. I hope you guys like it. It's a cute look. I look bad. I look like I'm going outside. Look like, who am I gonna get in trouble with? Oh, look at this girl right here. Look at that girl. Just keep on. But oh my gosh, this look is like sultry vibes. Like, we gonna cause some havoc today. This is what this look gives me, especially if I'm just like, anyways, I really like this look. But that's all I have for you guys today. This is the look. It's very, very sultry. I don't really do smoky eyes, but I really like this look. But this is the look I have for you guys today. This is the story I had for you guys today. I do want to show a quick shout out like I did for last time for our other homeboy that got brutally murdered. Yeah, I'm gonna put her picture up here for a hot minute. Bless this girl. It's a shame that she left, and this is how she died at such a young age, of the young age of 25. That's a year younger than I am. That is so sad. But for Renee, that is just So sad. And I hope her family ended up healing well and everything went well for them. But yeah, so that's all I have for today. I hope you guys really like this video. I would love for you guys to put some recommendations down below and tell me what you want to see next. Yeah, I hope you guys have a really good day and happy Friday. I'll see you guys next week for episode 4. Please give me some recommendations of what you like. I have something in store for next week.